Hey everyone, and welcome to the FourVision podcast. I'm your host, Ivo, and every week I'm going to have a conversation that matters about HR. This week I have with me Greg Horn. Welcome, Greg. How are you?
Hi, good. How are you? Thanks for having me.
No problem. Happy to have you. Greg is one of our senior implementation consultants at FourVision. He's based in the US, in the great state of Michigan. He has a lot of experience in the world of Microsoft Dynamics. So today we're going to talk exactly about that, about HR tech. So let's get to it. Greg, imagine that nobody here knows you. So what have you
do though?
I do. But for people that don't know you, just give us a small introduction about yourself, your background.
We'll
go over
Greg
that.
Horn. I've been in this Dynamics community for almost 20 years. I have a degree in accounting, and I started working for a CPA firm as an accountant and a network administrator. As well as my accounting duties, I implemented lower end accounting software for our customers, and really enjoyed that more than my tax and accounting duties. And I ended up had a customer that was in construction that their requirements didn't fit what our softwares that I implemented for other customers weren't able to handle. So I did a search and I found Solomon Software. So that is going to date me on how long I've been in the community. We ended up selecting Solomon. The folks from Solomon wanted us to become a reseller. We actually started our own small resellership in the accounting firm I was in, and found out that it wasn't really going to work out with the CPA firm, and moved on to a Microsoft reseller. Not too long after, Solomon, as we know, is a Microsoft product now, was acquired by Great Plains Software, and then Great Plains was acquired by Microsoft. And I've been in the Microsoft family, covering sales, project management, consulting ever since. Majority of my career, I actually did. The only kind of respite from that I've had is I went to work for one of my Microsoft Dynamics customers, and I've enjoyed my time ever since. And now I've been working for FourVision for a couple of years.
Awesome. And when did that transition happen, or how did it happen? You have a degree in accounting, looking at numbers, and suddenly you just have a passion for the technology or the services or the implementation that people can use in their everyday lives, right? What was, if you can identify like a moment that triggers,
I've covered, including working directly for Microsoft. I've, worked with many different products in the Dynamics chain. We talked about Solomon, old Dynamics AX. I've worked with the CRM solution, finance and operations, and I've really enjoyed that chain of products. And I happen to get, it's funny, my old neighbor, I never realized that he worked for Microsoft. And one day we're talking, and he told me about FourVision. There wasn't an opportunity for me at that point in time, but further on down the road, after I left Microsoft, I got gave him a phone call and said, "Hey, is it a possibility?" And it worked out, and I started working with FourVision, and I've never really been in HR. I mean, if you look at my LinkedIn background, I have mainly software and technology implementation experience, but in my couple years with FourVision, I've really dug into HR business processes, obviously, how the solution works and how I can get and learning about customers' HR business processes.
All right. So HR was never in your mind, let's say, it happened with FourVision. So what are the key things that you learned that makes you like the HR world? Or if you have a preference, let's start there. Mm-hmm. Do you have a preference after seeing CRM and finance and operations and all those functionalities and comparing it to HR? Do you have a preference?
Yeah, I really like where I'm at, the solution. I think Microsoft is, that's one of the things I saw is that I was very surprised. I don't know, surprised is the right word, but happily encouraged when I got into the solution. Microsoft is putting a ton of investments. I was shocked to see that almost, basically on a weekly basis, they're putting new functionality into the product and continue that investment. And I enjoy the challenges that it's given me. I honestly, I've seen so many customers these days that in large organizations using spreadsheets and Word docs, and their level of communication for be it an employee transition or through email, and I think as a result of that, it's the customers are concerned that their data is not secure. We have GDPR and data security. You see a lot of breaches, and those solutions that they're using are not secure. And we need to head towards that, and that's where a solution like Dynamics 365 gives you that that's that comfort level that things are secure. The other thing from it too is that the data is not accurate. I can't believe how many customers are like, oh yeah, well, we're not really sure that this is these are good numbers, that these are really the true leave balances that our employees have, and being able to help them bring those business problems into a solution, makes me happy, and I enjoy seeing customers embrace the solution and generally happy about how it, is working for them and solving their business issues.
Awesome. That's great. But going back to that first point, the fact that you're surprised every time you go to even large companies and you see how data is not secured, how processes are very rudimentary, let's say, in the sense that they are not using the latest technology, or they're using very rudimentary technology like spreadsheets or email communications in their day-to-day. From dealing with those customers, did you get a feeling why that is? Why are they not moving forward or not thinking about, like, is that a better way to do this? Is because they are so accustomed to it?
I think so. You get customers that kind of get, this is the way we've always done it, and never really looked outside the box to see what other possibilities might be out there for them. And I think we all kind of get into I'm in my comfort level. Like when I go and drive to the store, I always park at a specific kind of location. When I go to get my groceries, we just get into that kind of day-to-day activity, and change change is tough. Is tough sometimes, and it's kind of that unknown that people are like, I don't know if I want to. I don't know if I want to change, and I've had to deal with that over my career. Sometimes it gets really people get really entrenched, and they have a lot of anxiety over that change. So I think that's probably the biggest part of it. It's just
the biggest part. Yeah. We are used to this, and change is always hard. Yep. Especially when you have people like working for 10, 15, 20 years in the same company, used to do the same thing or close to the same thing every day. If you ask them to, stop doing things the way they always done it, it's hard.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep, for sure.
So in your consultant work, in the experience that you had with some customers, what do you think are the must-haves of a consultant to make people understand that change is good, that actually updating their processes is a good thing to do, streamlining their business processes with a tool such as Microsoft Dynamics is a good thing. So what do you think is the must-haves, like as a consultant, to overcome those that anxiety of changing things?
You've got to have patience, I think, and understand that it's change management can be hard for some people. Some people embrace it more than others, but you have to have that patience to be able to work with them and kind of solution and find different ways to be able to prove to them that this is better. For example, take that problem that they're having or they're using a spreadsheet for, and solution it in the software, and then show it to them and say, hey, look, you see how much easier this can be, and kind of play off the person and how how much they will or will not work with the change. And I think that's important. But typically I've found over time that most people, it's an investment. People typically embrace the investment and know that change is going to come along with that. I'm seeing fewer and fewer. I've had some really extreme cases where people have reached up and grabbed their anxiety medicine. That's probably a story for another day. But though most aren't to that level. Of course, it's they embrace it, want to learn it, and it excites me when I see people learning and being able to do tasks in the software without us having to coach them and say, here's you got to do this, that, or this, that, or the other.
That's great. I think you gave just a great example. Of course, we've been having some of our consultants here talking about like these challenges and how to overcome it. I think that's a great example, kind of not a workshop, but where you show a real case scenario. Right now, you're doing it this way, and it works. But now you can do it this way with these simple steps, and you have everything here. So you don't need to do those extra steps that you are doing currently. Right. So I think like showing examples, real case examples based on the company, something that you do often with your customers.
Oh yeah. So solutioning, we kind of call it some consultants may call it different, a show and tell. It's
show and tell. Okay.
Yeah. We want to learn what your business processes are. We solution that in the software, and then show them here's what we've defined. And also try to show the advantages, of course, of why they would want to do it this way. Sometimes we do try to steer them in another direction than maybe what they were originally anticipating. Things would be, and that makes then we have to kind of coach them a little bit on why that would be the best way to go. Yeah,
that's a very, very good advice. Another thing, still on this topic, of course, change is a challenge. Convince them or try to show them that actually with this software they will be better served. They will be better off with this new system. Are there any other challenge that you can remember? Like I'm thinking on top of my head, like data integration. Is that a challenge sometimes? Like the fact that data is dispersed, is all over the place. What other challenges do you find commonly?
Yeah, working integration that you talked about. Ideally, over time. I know I've always heard you should always bring all of your, if you've got, say, 3 different products, you should always try to bring it into one best of breed. I think they always called it approach. And that's I don't know that's always feasible. So you're going to have to work with other solutions, and being able to work with how integrations may have already been defined, or how you're defining those integrations, working with those other companies to be able to, because they may have a little different mindset in their implementation strategy. We may do things a little bit differently than they do, and kind of being able to work together. Those are some definite challenges that we have.
All right. Just moving to the tech in HR that you've seen so far. So in your view, you believe this tech is important. Otherwise, I don't think you would be working with it. So what do you think are the main things about HR tech that people are missing out by not adopting?
Yeah, I think it's be able to bring different things into your software, ability to be able to set up business processes, approval processes. A lot of people, their manual approval processes, and being able to bring those into the software, being able to take your data, be able to rely on your data to the point where you can utilize the data analytics tools that we have, and be able to utilize that data to make meaningful decisions. Because if you can't trust your data, you're not going to be able to make, report on it and make meaningful business decisions out of it. And I think to more security, as we talked about earlier, I think especially with the pandemic, I think you've got a lot more people that are working at home. I think unfortunately you've got a lot more people doing nefarious things. I think data hacking is way up. I don't think that's ever going away. And with that, especially with HR data, security is extremely important. In the HR system, you've got people's social security numbers, where they live, their phone numbers, who their personal contacts are, and that data needs to be secure. And you can have security on a spreadsheet, but it's a lot more secure if it's in a solution in a Microsoft data center, where you can trust that Microsoft has the best of the best, securing their data centers and ensuring that no one can get to that data, unless obviously it's the customer that should have access to that data.
Yeah. Do you think people think about that a lot? I think more and more that's a trend I see, that people are questioning more the data security and where they store their passwords and their logins and their information. But do you think companies are getting a bit more aware of that, of the importance of securing data?
I think so. Yeah, I know I've had some customers as of late that have, said that, hey, we've had, breaches, we've had, even employees take sensitive data. So that was, of course, top of mind. And I think we're starting to see that a lot more these days. And as more and more, implementations that I've been working on, they're asking for tighter and tighter restrictions on their security and requirements for it.
Yeah. Yeah, you mentioned that at the end, the fact that Microsoft, of course, has the best of the best in their direct data center, so securing all the data and all the information. But I guess they have many more good things to talk about. So my question to you is: did you work with any other tools besides Microsoft before? Do you have experience with any other tools, or Microsoft was sort of like you started there with Salomon, and after that it was always Microsoft?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've always been in the Microsoft family. I keep up with technology. I keep up with the competition, what they do, their strengths, their weaknesses. But my whole career has been with Microsoft. I had always wanted to work for Microsoft. I was pleased that I got that opportunity and worked directly for Microsoft for a couple of years. So I guess I've always been a Microsoft slappy, so to speak.
No, that's no problem at all. We work with Microsoft, so we're happy we have a kind of a Microsoft fanboy, let's say, in the company. No, but my question to you is, that's for a reason, right? If you're keeping up with tech, you also see what Microsoft has been putting out. You see what other technologies or other companies or the competition is putting out. What I'm trying to find here is like, for people listening, what do you see as the main values, that Microsoft can offer, especially in this Microsoft Dynamics environment?
Yeah, especially specifically on the HR solution. I was mentioned earlier. I was so surprised. The other solutions I worked with would have periodic updates, but when I started working with the HR solution, I very quickly saw that on a weekly basis, they're putting enhancements to the solution, not just bug fixes, meaningful product features and they've continued to do that and will continue to do that. So, the product feature set is increasing by leaps and bounds. Microsoft will continue that investment. Overall, how HR then works with the other solutions. How it works in the Dynamics 365, with finance, with CRM. That inner workings very very important. Call it seamless integration with those, and then even outside of that, the Microsoft stack, period. Working with the office solutions. I also have always been very impressed on how, and of course, very important, security and data privacy that Microsoft has and has always been a forefront in their mindset, and knowing that. I can confidently say that, hey, when your data is in a Microsoft data center, you can have the utmost confidence that Microsoft is going to keep that data secure and private.
That's very important indeed. Before going to the future, I just have a quick question around. You always worked based in the US. You are from Michigan, as I said in the beginning. You always worked with US clients, or you also worked with European clients?
I've worked with all around globally. I've had customers that I've worked with in Europe. I had a couple customers in Mexico. I've worked with some customers in Canada as well. So.
Okay. Yeah, because my question for that, because we had Jenny on a couple of episodes ago, and she's in Australia, and I asked her like if she feels like there's a difference in the way Australian companies see HR tech or between Australia and Europe. Do you find a difference in the way they approach this HR tech or digital transformation? Do you see any cultural differences in dealing with clients between US and European customers at all?
Yeah, a little bit. It's interesting to learn some of the different requirements. Like for example, my customers that I've worked with in Canada on their, when they offboard, whether a termination, voluntary or involuntary, the requirements that they have to ensure that individual gets paid any remaining balances on a timely basis. Where in US it's not quite as strict, and in Canada, if they don't, they can be levied some pretty high fines for that. So making sure, and gosh, that's got to be hard. We talked back, about doing stuff on spreadsheets and and emails. I could see how very easily you could really be racking up some pretty heavy fines as part of that. So learning the different requirements that they have in different locations here in the U.S. I know in Europe they're more based in the tracking of sickness and leave versus the U.S. U.S. isn't quite as heavy a requirement. Yes, it's tracked, but not, I think, to the level that I see with our European customers.
Okay. So it's what I was looking for is not like a massive. That's not a massive impact on the way we use HR technology or how we implement HR technology, right? It's just requirements that might change a little bit because the focus and the mindset is slightly different culturally.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So looking into the future of HR technology, what do you see there? Are there any interesting trends that you anticipate? Looking at what Microsoft is bringing on with other technologies or maybe the competition, is there any trends that excite you?
Yeah, I think that the future of HR technology, we're gonna the software people are gonna need things to be more flexible. You've got a lot of people now working from home, being able to have self-service capabilities. We talked about future, obviously secure. We talked about that quite a bit so far. The data hacking, breaching. So we need more security, and I think it'll be interesting to see what people or what happens along the lines of artificial intelligence and how that, along with data analytics, is going to interplay into this, being able to give customers the ability to be able to analyze their data and make meaningful decisions out of it.
Do you think this AI and mixed reality is something that's coming that soon? I know it's been talked about, but do you think it's going to be useful like really soon? Like imagine next year, 2022, we're going to have some mixed reality or AI working with HR tech, because it seems that so. I'm asking that because it seems like there are so many companies still using spreadsheets. There's yet to fix the basics. It's kind of, I don't know. I'm not seeing those companies go ahead right away, jumping a step. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Go into AI and mixed reality without fixing the basics.
Yeah, I can see, like, I think when I was working, at Microsoft, I saw a lot of cool demos of artificial intelligence, and I get the one, one of the ones they showed was, a person in the field, a rookie trying to fix a four-wheeled vehicle,
Yeah.
and they had the HoloLenses on, and they had the expert being able to tell them and point to them, here's where you need to fix the engine. Or I could see in the medical field, same kind of deal, surgery's happening, and you can show someone who could be across the country, across the globe, being able to do that. I'm still struggling a little bit, I think, like you, on where that's going to fit into the HR world. I absolutely do see data analytics, and the mix that's on the mixed reality. Artificial intelligence being able to take your data and make intelligent decisions out of that. Looking at, here's how your workforce is growing. Hey, did you think, if you keep growing at a 10% clip, a 15% clip, this is what the costing might be. That I could see that more than kind of the mixed reality, where I can look in maybe for training, onboarding, possibly. That's possible. But I still see, because it's going to be a significant investment to be able to purchase the technology, things like HoloLenses, that type, to be able to get that in your company.
Yeah, getting that widely available will be a tough thing to do. But indeed, I see more like for training, so you can have interactive sessions with that mixed reality application. But I agree with you. I think AI, especially in HR for workforce planning, for example, making the systems taking some decisions for you, or at least suggesting you the best decision because you're growing at that pace. You having these skills. If you want to grow this much, you're going to need these skills too. Right. So like for workforce planning or succession planning, let's say, I think AI might help in there. Who knows? Right. I'm the marketing guy. You are working in HR tech. Yep. So who knows? Just on the HR trend still, I know during the last 5 years or so, we've seen this trend of HR going from administration, like just doing administration stuff, to strategy, to actually help the business strategize their growth path. How do you think that evolved? Do you also believe in this? Do you see it in your daily job, and how does data contribute to it?
Yeah, being able to see things like succession, performance management, succession planning, being able to track and see, okay, who in our organization, who are our top contributors, and being able to see the path between where they are now and where they would become. And if I have positions that I might have some more senior members in, who would be the best person to potentially fulfill that role internally before we even would go out to look for external resources, understanding what skill sets those people have, and what would people need. And I think one of the challenges I think businesses have is you've got employees that want to grow with the company but don't see a path to do that. So if you're able to show them that path, that there is a path, I think that might help your things like turnover, and being able to know that, retention, and making sure that I know that I do have a path. So as long as I'm happy here, I can grow with the company and not stay stay stagnant. And I think that's where then they might look to other options.
Yeah, that's very important to point out. Indeed. Cool. I just have one last thing for you. It's going to be sort of a challenge, but don't take it as a challenge. No, I'm asking every guest at the end, like if you had one thing to say to HR professionals or IT professionals, that are maybe thinking about an IT, about a solution for HR, or maybe if they are not even thinking about it, what can you say to those people? What if there's one thing to say to HR professionals or IT professionals about HR tech? What would you say?
Yeah, I'd say give it a try. Give it a try. We talked earlier about we can take give us a chance of taking a look at what those business challenges that you might have, and let us solution it out and can do a little show and tell for you. That's we typically always do that in a pre-sales mode. It doesn't always have to be something that is necessarily consulting paid engagement. And I think a lot of people would be surprised at what and we do typically see that when we do demonstrations of D365 HR. A lot look at it and they're like, oh wow, it can do that, and that's fun to see. And I think you would see, if you do give it a try, that you'd get some of those, not across the board, but you'd at least get enough of those to keep it worth a further look.
I think it's a great message to end this up. I think awesome. Your dog is agreeing with us. Yes, for a long Moose time now. Moose is agreeing. So thank you, Moose. And thank you, Greg, for this conversation. This was very interesting. And we'll keep in touch. So for you guys out there listening, take care, and we'll see you next time.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.